Based on this license here, I have officially been a licensed car dealer for 5 months. I think in October of 2023 is when I decided to actually start applying for the dealer's license, and I officially got it at the beginning of December. Now it's April, and it has been 5 months of me being a licensed car dealer. And I figured it would be a good time for me to tell you how it's been, and spoiler alert, it has not been good. So if you're new here, Euros of A, that is the name of my car dealership that I recently started. Euros because I primarily, well, for one, I'm European. I'm from Ukraine, born and raised, and moved here almost 11 years ago when I was 16 years old. And that probably has something to do with the fact that I really like European cars, primarily German cars. So this here is not my entire inventory, but it is really windy outside, so I'm gonna minimize the amount of time I spent out there. But as you can see, all we have here is European. We have a Ducati, Italy. We have a Triumph, Great Britain. We have an Allroad, Germany. We have a Volkswagen, Germany. And there's 3 more cars outside, one of which is not German, and we're gonna get into that later. So yes, I definitely have a focus in European cars. However, I would say I also do enthusiast cars. As long as it's something cool, I'm willing to take a chance on it and do my best at recording it and selling it for profit, which is where our issues begin. So I've mentioned this once before on the channel, and the thing is that I would rather not be a car dealer for my entire life. Not something that brings me that much joy. However, I really enjoy doing YouTube, and which is why I've been buying cars that are interesting. Nobody's gonna give a crap about a video of me fixing a Hyundai Elantra because nobody gives a shit about a Hyundai Elantra, including their owners. So I've only been buying cars that I find interesting, the cars that I think you guys are gonna find interesting, with issues that would be interesting to document on YouTube. And that just makes it a very, very poor business model. I think it works well for YouTube, however, not this early in the channel's life, because there's not enough people to enjoy it. On that note, I do want to say thank you. We did reach 500 subscribers, which it's good. It's good. It's something. Plus, considering the fact that YouTube changed their monetization program, 500 subscribers allows me to promote products and receive donations from you guys, which I don't really expect you to do. However, that would be nice. Because, well, if you're gonna get into my finances of the dealership, we're going broke. So right before actually getting my license, I had finished rebuilding an Audi Q7 that I bought from Copart, and I sold it, which gave me some starting capital, as well as it got rid of anything that I could daily drive. I ended up finding this Allroad that initially I thought would make a decent daily driver for the time being. However, it turned out to be much more messed up than anticipated, and I had to buy another car. So I bought a B5 A4, which was in pretty bad shape visually. However, mechanically it was perfect, and I was able to daily drive it for a few months, and it got me through the winter just fine. It had working heat, it had a very well-running motor, it had a manual transmission, so I didn't have to worry about the glass Tiptronic. She served me pretty well, and that actually was the first car I sold as a car dealer, and I sold it to one of my good friends, Elliot. That car I did not have to put in a lot of work into. However, I did do a timing belt job, water pump, and I had to replace an alternator on it in the time of my ownership of it, which was only 3 to 4 months. However, I bought that car knowing that I need something drivable. Usually, for me to make profit on a car, I need to buy something non-drivable or at least crashed. And that's how I make my money. So I did not buy it cheap, and in fact I do think I overpaid for it, and I did not lose money on it, but I broke even, just barely. However, what it gave me was an opportunity to drive around in a car that has heat, unlike my B5 S4. So I'm not upset about that. That car was just something for me to drive around in. However, it did not make me profit. The Allroad is something that may potentially make profit. However, it needs so much work. There's just so many little issues, and I think I'm just too focused on making it perfect that I've already invested a total of $5,000 into this car, and all fixed, I mean, maybe it's worth 7, maybe 8 on Cars and Bids, and it's not even done yet. So while I was fixing the Allroad, I figured I need something to make money on, because this is going to be a very long-term project. So at that time, I was also fixing this Touareg, which needed a new engine. I found an engine that was still inside of another Touareg that one of my subscribers sold me. So I pulled the motor out of that car. This is it right here, and this thing is ready to go into the car. However, the car is not ready to have it because if you can see that right here, that's our frame rail that I had to cut open. Well, to be fair, it was a friend that cut it open for me because I couldn't bring myself to doing that. Because the subframe bolt that bolts into the frame broke off inside of that, and we had to cut off the cylinder that holds the bolt. We're finally making some progress on the car, so there's going to be a video explaining everything that happened with this. However, long story short, this is a project that ended up taking up this lift for multiple months, and I've been stuck on it. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because the the motor donor for this car had a more or less okay body, so I ended up using the body parts off of that to rebuild two other Volkswagen Touaregs that I bought from Copart crashed. I was lucky enough to find two Touaregs of the same color as the parts car was, with damages that were relatively easy to repair, or so I thought. And if you know anything about Touaregs, they've depreciated immensely. However, there is a reason why they've depreciated so much, and that is the fact that they're just not considered to be reliable cars. As you can tell, I absolutely love Volkswagen Touaregs. I think they're great, especially for the money. I think that's the main reason that makes them so great, because they sell for absolutely dirt cheap. On the private market, you can find one of these for definitely under $5,000 in run and drive condition, which is actually what I'm selling mine at. This one is not for sale yet. However, my other one, which we'll get to in just a second, is listed for sale at $4,000. If any of you are interested, please reach out. And the price is negotiable because, like I said, the business is failing. And you know, I was thinking that nowadays, it's year 2024, inflation, COVID, crazy interest rates, all of the above, you know, prices have gone up. Prices have gone up on everything. In my mind, if a car is run and drive, it's automatically worth $3,000. If it has heat AC and, you know, isn't smoking, I think it's worth $5,000. And that's why I'm listing these for $4 grand. But I mean, the one that I got out of Kansas with rear end damages, it has been listed for sale, and so far I only had one guy come check it out, who I think was more or less just a time waster, and nobody has bought it. To be fair, it's only been listed a week. However, in my experience, if something doesn't sell within the first few days, then it's probably going to be sitting around for a couple of months until you find a buyer. Actually, I think this thing looks a little goofy with one headlight being newer than the other. Let's use this as an opportunity to show you the other one, which looks identical. This Touareg came from Kansas with some rear end damages, so I ended up replacing the rear bumper, the hatch, and one of the taillights. So I did not have to spend a whole lot of money on parts for this, but because of the reliability issues I mentioned with these cars, which I really should have anticipated, there's some other stuff on these cars that basically turn off the potential buyers. For example, on this car we have a very leaky valve cover gasket, and if you're not very familiar with these engines, the valve cover gasket on it is just pretty hard to access. You have to remove the intake manifold, and it's just a pain. And considering the fact that I'm only making $1,000 to $2,000 on each of these cars after all the work I've already done on it, I'm not really interested in fixing that. I am trying to sell it with an oil leak, which is hard, as well as a vacuum leak causing a check engine light. And I tried to track down that vacuum leak, and I just haven't been able to find it, and I'm just not willing to spend any more time on it. However, it now has basically brand new headlights. This one I found at a junkyard, which was practically brand new, which is why I figured this actually brand new headlight will work better on this car rather than the other. And now this guy. So this one is still waiting to get its rebuild title, because both of them actually ended up having issues with the seat belts, which led to me failing the rebuilt inspection. I passed it with the other Touareg that's outside already, but the leaking valve cover gasket, the vacuum leak, on this car the ATF leak, and also the fact that the speakers seem to get no output after the stupid sound system that the previous owner had on this car. Those repairs would cost more than the car itself, meaning that it's not fiscally reasonable to fix those issues before I try and sell this car. So I have to try and sell them as is, meaning that a lot of buyers are not going to be interested in buying a car that has issues. And I always am very transparent about my cars, which is why I have that in the listing that, oh, it leaks oil, oh, there's a vacuum leak, and a check engine light, meaning that a lot of people are not going to be looking to buy them, despite the fact that they're very cheap cars. So my options are either spend hours upon hours of my pretty much worthless labor fixing these stupid things, which will be immensely complicated and very frustrating, and will set off the sale date by who knows how long, and put off all my other projects just to sell a car that's worth $4,000. And $4,000 is me being generous. Like I said, that's what I have the other Touareg outside listed for, and it has not been selling. Chances are I'm gonna have to sell them for $3,000, and even then, it's gonna take some time. At a sale price of $3,000, I'm making $1,000 total on each car. On this one, since I got it a little cheaper and the delivery was from Chicago rather than Kansas, maybe if I sell this for $3,000, I will be able to get $1,500 profit. And I also still need to fix this crooked front end. The reason why I had to swap out the headlights is because the ones on this car were damaged and I did not have any spare headlights off of the donor car, so I had to actually buy them. And I did buy a set of HID xenon headlights from a junkyard, which turned out to not work on the standard halogen headlight cars. So I ended up having to spend $200 on a brand new headlight for that car. And this thing better work because I'm done trying to fix these cars. Awesome. Perfect. Now, in the completely opposite end of the spectrum, we have this. Well, I have this. 2002 Toyota Land Cruiser. And I bought it at a very competitive price, which I promised to reveal to you, and it was $3,000. Which, considering how much these cars have been selling for, is very, very cheap, because you can search cars and bids and find these going for well over $10,000, sometimes a little under, depending on rust, depending on, well, speaking of rust. This guy spent most of his life in Wisconsin, as well as Pennsylvania, this is as bad as the rust gets on this car, luckily, so it's not that bad. We mainly just need a fender. The stuff under it is a little rusty, but it's not soft, which is very good. So it basically just has some paint imperfections, some bubbling here and there, which I've already started working on. For example, the paint on this trim was getting very chipped off, and I ended up respraying this entire thing on both sides. There's also this little dent. One of the reasons why I got this car so cheap was that it's throwing in ABS and VSC lights on the dash. Those guys right there, but as you can tell, she starts and runs very well, considering that it has 212,000 miles, which is in general what these cars are known for, especially this drivetrain and the 2 ZFE motor, which comes in Sequoias, GX 470s, and LX 470s. Basically a bunch of early 2000 Toyotas. This motor is quite literally legendary, which is one of the reasons why I decided to buy this, even though I'm not really into the whole Japanese car thing. I would say this is one of the few exceptions. I definitely want to get my hands on a GX 470 in some point because I like the design a lot. This car, I probably am not going to keep, because there's some things on this car and its design, and me being spoiled and used to German cars that just don't make sense to me, and they just bother me. They just bother me a little bit, to the point where I don't think I could live with this car. I believe those lights can be fixed by a new wheel speed sensor. At least I certainly hope so, because I already bought it and plan on installing it hopefully today. Actually, let's scratch that. Let's try and fix it right now. And here's the wheel speed sensor in question, and as you can see, things are a little crusty over here, meaning that taking out this wheel speed sensor might turn out to be quite an adventure. Anyway, fixing the wheel speed sensor isn't really going to be a part of this video, so to summarize, here's what I did wrong. I think in the first month of having the dealer's license, I purchased too many cars. Basically, I invested too much of my budget into cars that needed a lot of work, meaning that now, 3 months later, I haven't really gotten rid of those cars. I have spent 3 months worth of rent without selling anything. So I'm basically getting a little too low with my budget, and I have to sell things which are not ready for sale. If you don't know this, I do have a full-time job, meaning that I just don't have as much time to spend here. And because I do everything myself, I just simply don't have the time and energy to finish fixing everything in a timely manner and not stress about selling cars and not holding cars for too long. Because in reality, I think that's all I'm dealing with, is the fact that I end up holding the cars for too long because they just need so much work. And that's another mistake. I'm buying cars that need a lot of work because I want to buy fun cars that I enjoy and I think are cool. Bottom line is that I would rather prioritize YouTube than car dealership side of things, because I think that's a lot more enjoyable. I enjoy this a lot more. I find this more interesting. And because the YouTube channel is not bringing in any money, that's probably a very bad business plan, because selling cars would bring me money. Long term, hopefully, YouTube could work out and be what I want it to be. But until then, I need something to pay rent. And for that, I need to sell the cars, which are just not ready to sell. Once again, this is like to be completely honest with you, I have been very, very overwhelmed last couple of months. It's very hard to do all of this at the same time while trying to spend time with the family. And by family, I mean my girlfriend KJ and our 2 dogs. I'm trying to keep my priorities in check, which makes it just really, really hard to make this a successful business. At the moment, all I'm trying to do is just break even and not go broke with the dealership up until the YouTube actually starts bringing in some money. Which is why I gotta ask you guys, please like and subscribe. Help me out with growing this channel. If you think that we actually have a decent chance in making this a successful YouTube channel. And if you don't, please put it in the comments and let me know what it is that I could and should do better, because I definitely will try doing that. And because of this overwhelming to-do list all the time, I don't know, I just have a hard time making videos, I think. So I'm really not sure how to fix what I'm doing, and I'm definitely having a very hard time trying to explain what it is that I'm trying to put together here. I'm having a really hard time trying to explain and put it into words, everything that's going on and everything I'm trying to do. And hopefully you guys can pick up on most of it. And we just gotta persevere and keep going one step at a time.